He said he was innocent. But tonight, Freddie Owens put to death for the killing of a convenience store clerk in South Carolina, the first execution in the state in more than a decade. After years of appeals came up short, 46-year-old Freddie Owens making a last-minute plea for clemency this week. His lawyers securing a sworn affidavit from a man who provided key testimony against Owens, but who now says he lied and Owens didn't kill Irene Graves, a mother of 3 who was shot in the head during a robbery of a speedway in 1997. Stephen Golden, 18 at the time of that shooting, now says he was high on drugs when police initially questioned him, and prosecutors offered him a deal to flip on Owens, adding, quote, "I was scared that I would get the death penalty if I didn't make a statement."
It's remarkable 2 days before a scheduled execution to have someone come forward as Stephen Golden did. He did not want to see an innocent man die for something that he didn't do. Candidly, none of us should.
Yet the state Supreme Court rejected those arguments from Owens' defense team, finding that newly recanted testimony from Golden insufficient without knowing more about how and why he signed it now. The High Court also pointing to other evidence of Owens' guilt, including his multiple past confessions to killing Graves. Graves' son, Archie, who lost his mother just as he was starting his freshman year in college, told NBC News Today, "I'm just ready to close this chapter on this part of our lives." Laura Jarrett, NBC News.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.